She blocked me while I was typing "I love you," so I slipped the divorce papers into her gym bag instead. Kayla always hits the gym at 6 a.m. sharp. No alarms, no excuses, no texts, not even to me. Today was no different, except this time, she didn't know I'd already packed my things and placed our entire marriage in a manila envelope between her protein bars and resistance bands. Her silence had gone on long enough. Blocking me mid-sentence wasn't anger, it was a dismissal, so I responded in kind, cold, clean, signed. We weren't always like this. Kayla used to laugh in her sleep. I used to stay up just to hear it. But somewhere between fitness sponsorships and her growing obsession with Joseph, her co-trainer with perfect abs and zero boundaries, I became background noise in my own marriage. The blocking started small. First, she muted our anniversary post, then she removed our vacation highlights from her story, and then one night after I texted, "You home soon?" she replied with a thumbs up. A blue thumbs up. The next morning, she was gone before sunrise. Her phone, locked, my texts, undelivered. That's when I knew. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her follower. 3 years ago, I would have laughed at the thought. Kayla was magnetic, confident, unapologetic. I met her during a boxing class I didn't even want to attend. She wore red gloves and a smirk that hit harder than any punch. "Michael, right?" she'd asked. "You're either terrible at this or trying too hard." I was both. She offered to train me. 2 months later, we kissed behind the gym's vending machine. 6 months after that, we were living together. For a while, life was loud and love was louder. But over time, she got sponsored, got busy, got colder. I supported her every step. She thanked me with absence. We stopped eating together, stopped talking unless it was about bills. The last dinner we shared, she spent most of it scrolling. When I asked what was so important, she said, engagement. She didn't mean mine. Nancy noticed the shift before I did. She worked in HR, always calm, always kind. One afternoon, she handed me a cup of chamomile tea. "You look like you haven't slept, Michael." I hadn't. I lied. She didn't push. A week later, Nancy left a post-it on my desk. "People don't just fall out of love, they stop fighting for it." That note hit harder than Kayla ever did. 2 nights ago, I confronted Kayla. I showed her a photo, her and Joseph, cheek to cheek, mid-laugh. She said it was just good lighting. I asked why she cropped me out of our anniversary post. She said, because it didn't match my aesthetic. I asked if she still loved me. She stared at the floor, then blocked me. So I spent the night packing. I printed the divorce documents, signed every page, highlighted where she needed to. I placed them where I knew she'd look, next to her wrist wraps, not far from her curling bar. I didn't need revenge, I needed closure. By 8 a.m., I was gone. She called me an hour later, from Joseph's number. "Is this how you handle things now, Michael? Just quit and run?" I didn't answer. She texted from another line. "This is petty, I thought we were stronger than this." I replied with a photo, our wedding rings on the table. No caption. Later that night, Nancy messaged, "You okay?" I said, "Getting there." The next morning, Kayla posted a black and white gym selfie. Caption, "Sometimes the ones closest to you cut the deepest." I didn't engage. Her followers flooded her with hearts and fire emojis. She let them think I was the blade. But I didn't need to defend myself. Truth doesn't need a filter. By day 3, Kayla signed the papers. She sent a photo of them, stamped and sealed. "I hope you're proud," she wrote. I wasn't proud. I was relieved. Nancy took me out for coffee that afternoon. "You look lighter," she said. Do I? Like someone finally stopped holding their breath. We didn't talk about Kayla. We didn't have to. Last night, I moved into a new apartment. Smaller, yes, but it didn't echo with silence or carry the scent of arguments in the walls. I unpacked slowly, folded each shirt like it was an exhale. I found the note Nancy left me. I pinned it on my fridge. Today, Kayla texted again. No greeting, just 4 words. "Do you hate me?" I typed, then deleted, then typed again. "No, I just outgrew who you shrank into." Then I turned off the phone. My name is Michael Reed. I am 32 years old, senior brand strategist. Favorite meal? Spaghetti with too much garlic. Worst habit? I overthink everything. Favorite memory? The day Kayla agreed to go out with me, the worst one, when she blocked me during a fight, just before I could apologize. Before she was my wife, Kayla was the woman everyone watched enter a room and felt something shift. She never walked quietly, heels, sneakers, or bare feet. She commanded space. She didn't ask for attention, it followed her. She was a certified fitness coach, gym co-owner, part-time influencer, and the kind of woman who smiled after every punch in the ring. We met during one of those awkward corporate wellness programs. You know, the kind where HR tries to get employees moving by offering after-work classes in a basement studio. I didn't want to go. I was emotionally hungover from a breakup and trying to keep a low profile. Nancy, a woman from HR with thoughtful eyes and an unfair ability to remember everyone's birthday, gently nudged me toward it. "You look like someone who could use a healthy outlet, Michael," she said, handing me the class flyer with a kind smile. She wasn't wrong, I just didn't expect the outlet to hit back. Kayla was leading the class. I remember she was wearing this black and red athletic set with her hair tied in a high, confident knot. She moved like she owned gravity. While she taught the proper way to throw a jab, I accidentally punched myself in the shoulder. She saw, laughed. "You fight like you're trying to win an argument with yourself," she said. I wanted to disappear, but after class, she tossed me a water bottle and said, "You kept up, that's something." She had no idea those 4 words would reroute my entire life. From there, things moved fast. We got dinner, then lunch the next day, then a weekend trip after only 2 months of dating. I remember lying beside her on a cheap hotel mattress in some no-name beach town, thinking, I'll marry this woman. And I did. 11 months later, in a small rooftop ceremony under string lights, Kayla became my wife. The early years were loud in the best way, laughs echoing through the kitchen, sweat mixing on shared morning jogs, fights that ended in apologies and back rubs. We had energy, fire, balance. She built bodies, I built brands. She posted transformation videos, I ran ad campaigns. We were opposites, but not in conflict, more like 2 pieces completing a sharp, sleek puzzle. But something shifted after her sponsorship deals took off. Suddenly, Kayla's workouts weren't just workouts, they were content. Every jog was a chance for a selfie, every protein bar was a brand plug, and slowly, I noticed our lives were being edited, cropped, filtered, shared with strangers before being shared with me. Our dinners went from candlelit conversations to her eating late after posting macros. Our mornings turned silent, her eyes glued to follower counts, mine fixed on her unread messages. I once watched her spend 20 minutes choosing between 2 nearly identical photos of herself. When I said, "You look amazing in both," she snapped, "That's not helpful, Michael." The distance started as emotional, then it became physical. She'd fall asleep on the couch with her phone in hand. I stopped asking her to come to bed. When I tried to plan date nights, she'd respond with, "Can we do Sunday? I've got filming Saturday." The filming always involved Joseph. Joseph was a problem, and Kayla never saw it. He was her business partner, gym co-owner, and favorite person to tag in every reel. Shirtless, tattooed, always saying the right thing on camera, he knew how to stay close, too close. Once, at a private event, I saw him adjust her sports bra strap in front of everyone. She didn't flinch. I did. Later that night, I brought it up. "He treats you like you're his girlfriend." She rolled her eyes. "You're being paranoid." Another time, she forgot her phone at home. It buzzed 3 times. Same message thread, same guy. "Had a dream about our last spar. You pinned me good." I didn't confront her. I just stared at the text for 10 full minutes, then set the phone down like it burned. Still, I stayed. I kept trying. Because love isn't about winning, it's about fighting even when you're the only one swinging. Nancy saw the cracks. She never pried, but she noticed. "You all right, Michael?" she'd ask with genuine concern. I'd nod. Lie. "Just work stuff." But one day, after Kayla and I argued over her deleting an anniversary post, Nancy said something that stuck. "The right person wouldn't need to hide you to shine." I remember walking into our apartment that night. Kayla was on the balcony, posing in golden hour light, filming a slow twirl in her leggings. I watched for 10 minutes. She didn't even know I was there. When I finally approached her, she turned and said, "Don't walk into my shot." That night, I slept in the guest room. We argued again 3 nights later, about Joseph, about her priorities, about me feeling invisible. She didn't say a word back, just pulled out her phone and blocked me. Mid-conversation, no warning, just silence. I stared at my screen in disbelief. Then I realized she hadn't blocked me to win. She blocked me because I no longer mattered in her narrative. That's when something inside me went still. I didn't yell, I didn't beg. I simply walked into the bedroom, opened the closet, and pulled out my old leather suitcase, the one we bought together for our honeymoon in Bali. I packed, neatly, quietly. Then I sat down and opened the divorce document template on my laptop. I filled in the blanks. Michael Reed, Kayla Reed, married 3 years, no children, no shared property, clean break. I printed 2 copies, signed both, then waited. At 5:59 a.m., Kayla got ready for the gym, music blasting from her wireless speaker. She didn't notice me, didn't say good morning, didn't ask where my pillow had gone. She left, slamming the door like a victory bell. I took her gym bag from the couch and opened it. Protein bar, shaker bottle, wrists wraps. I slipped the envelope inside, right between the wraps and her favorite cherry-flavored lip balm. Then I zipped it shut and walked out. I didn't leave a note, just a voice message. You blocked me, Kayla, so I'm freeing you. The divorce papers are where your loyalty used to be, right next to your workout fuel. I didn't expect her to respond, but part of me hoped she would. That was Michael Reed, me. A man who gave everything to a woman who gave it all to an algorithm. A man who learned too late that sometimes love isn't loud. Sometimes it's a long, slow silence that makes you realize you've already been erased. And still, I signed the papers with a steady hand. It started with a photo Kayla posted on her gym account. Joseph stood beside her, drenched in sweat, flexing his biceps while she leaned into him with that post-workout grin she hadn't shown me in months. The caption read, "Grinding with the real ones." I wasn't tagged, I hadn't even known she was doing a late-night shoot at the gym. The lighting was intimate. Her smile wasn't the professional one she wore on brand shoots, it was the one she used to flash at me when I brought her flowers after work. I stared at the image for a long time. At first, I told myself I was overreacting. They were business partners, co-owners. But then, I checked the comments. Y'all look so good together. Couple goals far. Michael who? That one hurt. I walked into the living room and saw her sitting on the floor, editing videos on her laptop. Didn't realize Joseph was spending the night, I said casually, keeping my voice steady. She glanced up, annoyed. What? This new post, the one where you're basically in his lap. Kayla rolled her eyes and turned back to the screen. Don't be dramatic, it's just content. Right. Just content, I muttered. I'm your husband, Kayla, not your camera guy, not your ghost. She slammed the laptop shut. And I'm your wife, not your possession. I can take a damn photo. You didn't even tell me you were filming with him after hours. Because I knew this is how you'd react. You're insecure. I felt the words land, hard. Insecure? I asked. Because I expect respect? No, she said, arms crossed, because you're threatened by my success and friendships. Friendships don't look like foreplay. She stood. Joseph and I built that gym from scratch. He's the reason I got that supplement deal. He actually shows up. The implication was clear. I've always shown up for you, Kayla. I was there when you didn't have a single client, when you were training in parks for $50 an hour. I believed in you before anyone did. And I'm grateful, she replied flatly, but I'm not going to dim myself because you're uncomfortable. That's when I said something I regret. No, you'll just block me like I'm a troll in your comments. Her face tightened. Maybe I should. She turned around, walked into the bedroom and shut the door. When I checked my phone the next morning, she'd already done it. Blocked, on everything. My number, my Instagram, even Venmo. That wasn't a fight, that was a shutdown, and it wasn't the first time. 2 weeks earlier, I had planned a surprise dinner for our anniversary, candlelight, her favorite garlic soy salmon, a printed photo from our honeymoon placed next to the wine glasses. She came home 2 hours late, still in workout gear, and didn't say a word when she saw the setup, just walked past it, mumbled, "I'm tired," and collapsed on the couch with her phone in hand. Joseph messaged her while I cleared the dishes alone. Another night, I asked if we could spend Sunday together. No phones, no work, just us. She agreed, but only after posting a mental health break announcement to her followers. Halfway through our walk in the park, she stopped to take photos of herself stretching in front of the fountain. Can you take a few more from the side angle? She asked. Why? I asked. Aren't we supposed to be offline? I still need content, she replied, not looking at me. It was always content. Even our relationship started to feel like a prop she occasionally featured when the algorithm needed a change of pace. And Joseph? He was always in the background, until one day, he wasn't. I came home early from work one afternoon, something I rarely did, and found Kayla in the kitchen with him. They weren't doing anything incriminating. He was just leaning over her shoulder, laughing at something on her phone while she stirred a pot. It was domestic, too domestic. She didn't notice me until I dropped my keys. Michael, she said, startled. You're home early. Yeah, I said, staring straight at Joseph. Looks like I missed family dinner. Joseph smiled, unbothered. Hey man, want some stir-fry? No, I said, turning to walk out. I already lost my appetite. That night, Kayla accused me of being cold, of not trusting her. I told her trust is earned, not demanded. She said I was being possessive. I said she was being careless. We shouted, she cried. Then came silence. The next day, she deleted our wedding photo from her Instagram. No explanation, no warning. When I confronted her, she said, it wasn't performing well. Performing. Like our marriage was just a campaign, a post that could be scrubbed when engagement dropped. Nancy noticed the difference in me. She didn't ask for details, just started bringing me tea without saying a word. One day, she passed me a file and whispered, "You're allowed to leave when it stops feeling like home." I kept that line in my head, like a mantra. Then came the final blow. It was a Tuesday. I'd sent Kayla a long message that morning, trying to open a real conversation, not a fight, not sarcasm, just vulnerability. I told her I missed us, that I still loved her, but I felt like I didn't recognize who we were anymore. I said I wanted to fix it, if she wanted that too. She blocked me before I could hit send. I stared at the screen for a full minute, thumb hovering over the last word. The message disappeared in front of me, connection cut, conversation over. She didn't even care to read it. I sat in our dark living room, listening to the clock tick, and realized I hadn't heard her laugh in weeks. At least, not with me. Her voice still had joy in it, but only in those videos with Joseph. Only when the camera was on. I was a ghost in my own apartment. That night, I didn't cry, I didn't yell. I opened my laptop and began downloading a divorce template. I filled in the blanks, her full name, my full name, date of marriage, no children. Mutual assets, none. Reason for divorce, emotional abandonment. I didn't add anything extra, I didn't need to. The silence between us had already written enough. I signed my name, highlighted the spots for her signature. The next morning, I woke up early. She was already gone. Gym bag on the couch. Perfect. I placed the envelope inside. Clean, cold, final. And just like that, the conflict was no longer spoken. It was filed. Silence used to be peaceful. Now it scraped against Michael's chest like sandpaper. The apartment was quiet, but not in a restful way. It was the kind of quiet that echoed. No footsteps, no "hey babe" from the hallway. Just the subtle hum of the fridge, the ticking wall clock, and the memory of what Kayla hadn't said. That was the part that haunted him the most, what she chose not to say. Michael stood at the window with a cup of cold coffee. He hadn't even taken a sip, just poured it out of habit. He stared out at the street, watching joggers pass, people walking dogs, the world spinning as if he didn't just cave in. Blocked. It wasn't just a social media thing, it was a declaration, an emotional exile. How do you respond to a wall that won't even let you knock? He kept checking his phone even though he knew it was useless. Kayla had severed every line of communication. And for what? For asking why Joseph kept showing up in her reels more than Michael did in her life. He scrolled to the draft of the message he never got to send. The one where he poured his heart out, begged for honesty, pleaded for a conversation, not a resolution, not a demand, just a moment of human connection. But she never saw it, never would. She chose to cut the cord before reading the last sentence. That stung more than any insult. He sat on the couch they once built together. He still remembered assembling it in their first apartment, laughing because they didn't have the right wrench and Kayla insisted on reading the instructions upside down. Now, the cushions felt unfamiliar, cold, sterile, like a stranger lived here. Had he really lost her, or did he just notice too late that she'd already left emotionally? Michael leaned back and let his head fall against the cushion. The tears didn't come, not yet. He was still in the numb phase, the part before grief where denial dresses up as clarity. He tried to replay their last good moment, but even that felt blurry now. Had she held his hand last time they went out? Had she kissed him goodbye, or were those just things he assumed happened out of routine? The more he searched, the less he found. Even their anniversary had been a ghost. He remembered holding out the gift he'd picked weeks in advance, tickets to her favorite boxing match, ringside. She glanced at the envelope, said thanks, and never opened it. Later, he found it untouched in her bag, buried under protein bars and gym flyers. That same bag now carried their divorce papers. There was poetry in that. He hadn't been angry when he printed the papers, he was past that. He was heartbroken, but heartbreak doesn't always scream. Sometimes it signs documents in silence and walks out without slamming the door. Michael stood up and wandered into the kitchen. Every corner held a memory. The wine-stained countertop from their first fight, the fridge magnet she bought with Team Kayla Mike printed in gym font. He left it there on purpose, even though the joke wasn't funny anymore. He opened the fridge. I closed it. Not hungry, just hollow. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. For a second, his heart raced, but it wasn't her. It was an alert from the bank. Automatic deposit from Kayla, $2,000. No note, no subject, just money. So this was it now. Transactions over conversations. Michael locked his phone and tossed it on the counter. He wanted to scream, not because of the money, but because of how predictable it was. She always tried to fix things with gestures, never dialogue. A new pair of shoes when she forgot his birthday. A protein bar, and a kiss when they fought. Now, her silence came with direct deposit. He walked into the bedroom, no, her bedroom. He hadn't slept there in 3 weeks, not since the last argument. The side of the bed was perfectly made, her side as messy as ever. Drawers open, clothes everywhere, like she was always in motion, never still. He sat down and stared at the mirror. His reflection looked tired, thinner, like he'd been shedding himself piece by piece to fit into her life. He barely recognized the man staring back. Nancy's voice echoed in his memory. You're allowed to leave when it stops feeling like home. He clenched his jaw and closed his eyes. Then, a sound broke the silence. A notification buzz. Michael opened his phone. Kayla. Why are you doing this to me? He blinked, so she'd unblocked him, for this. He read it again, to her. As if he hadn't been the one begging for scraps of attention, as if she was the victim of his distance. He didn't reply. Instead, he opened his email and found Nancy's old message again. If you ever need space or safety, I'm here. He typed. Thank you, I might take you up on that. Send. The tears finally came. Not in sobs, just quiet trails that left his cheeks wet while he breathed through the ache. He didn't cry because she messaged. He cried because he still loved her. He cried because some part of him hoped she'd message sooner. He cried because the moment she did, it wasn't I'm sorry, it was to blame. She didn't want to fix things, she wanted to control the narrative. Michael wiped his face and looked around. This wasn't a home anymore, it was a museum of what used to be. He needed to leave. He packed a single duffel, essentials only. A few clothes, his passport, laptop, the journal he used to write poems for her, the one she never read. As he zipped it shut, another message buzzed. Kayla. So that's it? You're just done? Still no apology. No acknowledgement of what she'd done, no ownership, just guilt-tripping. He left her to read. Outside, the evening air stung his face. It reminded him he was still alive, that he could still choose himself. That healing wasn't loud, it was decisive. He checked into a small studio rental 3 blocks away, not far enough to disappear, but far enough to breathe. He spent the night staring at the ceiling, alone, but lighter. The next morning, Nancy sent a reply. Take all the time you need, when you're ready, we'll talk, no pressure, just presence. Michael smiled. Someone had seen him, maybe not as a husband, but as a person worth listening to. For now, that was enough. It had been 10 days since Michael moved out. 10 days since he last heard from Kayla. 10 days of waking up without her scent in the sheets, without the sound of her blender in the morning, without her half-hearted, "love you," before she left for the gym. He was still adjusting to the silence, but he preferred this silence over the one they used to share, hers laced with avoidance, his heavy with resentment. He hadn't responded to her last message. "So that's it? You're just done?" She hadn't sent another since. Michael poured coffee into his chipped mug, the one Kayla always hated. She used to say it looked like something out of a college dorm. Now, it was his favorite thing in the new apartment. It was real. It was his. Then the knock came. 3 sharp taps. Michael opened the door and froze. It was Joseph. Dressed in gym gear, holding a brown envelope in one hand and a face that looked too confident for someone showing up uninvited. "Can we talk?" he asked. Michael didn't move. "Why would I ever want to talk to you?" Joseph sighed and pushed the envelope forward. "You need to see this." "I don't need anything from you." "It's about Kayla." Michael's stomach twisted. Against his better judgment, he let him in. Joseph walked in like he owned the place, eyeing the minimal furniture, the lack of decor, the lonely coffee mug on the counter. "So, this is where you disappeared to. Say what you came to say." Joseph handed him the envelope. "Kayla's planning to flip the narrative. She's hiring a PR firm to spin the divorce, paint you as the emotionally unstable one, says you left without warning, claims you were controlling and jealous of her career." Michael didn't respond. He opened the envelope. Inside were screenshots, texts between Kayla and a woman named Aria, her publicist, voice note transcriptions, meeting summaries. His name came up more than once. He's acting dramatic again. I'll make sure he looks like the one who couldn't handle her ambition. If he tries to speak out, we'll use the mental health angle. Michael gripped the papers tightly. His heart pounded in his ears. "This is what she's doing?" he asked quietly. Joseph nodded. "She's protecting her brand. Divorce doesn't look good on someone who sells discipline and empowerment. A sob story sells better. You're the easy scapegoat." Michael looked at him, suspicion burning in his gut. "And why are you telling me this? Since when did you grow a conscience?" Joseph ran a hand through his hair. "Because she turned on me too. Said I was part of the problem. Told Aria to make sure I didn't get tagged in anything anymore. She's going solo." Michael blinked. "You're telling me this because she cut you off?" "Partly," Joseph admitted. "But also because you didn't deserve that. You weren't crazy. You saw what was happening." Michael sat down, reading the texts again. Kayla had weaponized everything, their fights, his distance, even the money he didn't ask for. There was even one draft caption saved for a future post. "I left a toxic relationship that tried to shrink me. I chose myself. Always choose yourself." His name wasn't in it, but it didn't need to be. "I thought I'd warn you," Joseph said, standing. "Whatever's left between you two, it's about to get public." Michael didn't look up. "Get out." Joseph hesitated. "Look, get out." Joseph left without another word. Michael sat still for a full hour after the door closed. The coffee in his mug went cold again. Was this her plan all along? Wait for him to leave, then reframe the story, rewrite the ending to cast herself as the survivor? The betrayal burned hotter than anything she'd ever said to his face. He opened his laptop and began to write. Not to post, not to publish, just to breathe. He titled the document, "The Truth She Blocked." It started with the anniversary dinner she never showed up for. The meal that went cold while he waited alone with candles flickering. Then came the photo shoot with Joseph. The cropped-out husband. The blocked number, the envelope in her gym bag. Every detail, every moment of silence, every punch he absorbed emotionally while she painted herself as the victim. He wrote until his fingers hurt. By midnight, the document was 22 pages long. He saved it to a USB drive and tossed it into the drawer. He didn't know what he'd do with it yet, but it was there. The next morning, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Heard from a source you're trying to slander me. You don't want to do that, Michael. No name, but he knew who it was. He didn't reply. A few minutes later, Nancy called. Michael, are you okay? Something's going on. Kayla just posted a video. She's crying, talking about emotional scars and how she's been fighting in silence. He pulled up Instagram. There it was. Kayla in her living room, red-eyed, soft piano music playing. Her voice trembled. I stayed quiet for so long because I didn't want to hurt anyone, but silence becomes its own prison. Some people, they love you until you outgrow their box. Michael watched it all. Her hand gestures, the carefully timed sniffle, the dramatic pause, the comments exploded with support. Stay strong, Queen. You deserve better. Men can't handle strong women. File a restraining order. Nancy's voice returned on the line. What are you going to do? Michael closed the app and breath. I don't know yet. But he knew one thing, this wasn't over. He wasn't fighting to win her back. He was fighting for the truth she was trying to bury. Michael stood in the elevator, watching the floor numbers blink one by one. He could hear his heart beating in his ears, louder than the ding of each floor. 10th, 11th, 12th. He clenched the USB drive in his pocket until his fingers ached. He hadn't planned to come. He told himself he wouldn't play her game, but Kayla had crossed the line. After her fake crying video went viral, titled "Healing is Heavy but Worth It," he'd spent 3 days in silence, watching as news outlets, fitness influencers, and lifestyle bloggers picked it up. The comments were savage. They called him controlling, manipulative, emotionally unstable, all without ever hearing his voice. Then came the headlines. Wife leaves toxic husband, inspires thousands to choose self-worth. Michael Reed's ex speaks out, I was treated like a trophy, not a partner. Fitness star. Kayla R. breaks silence after years of suffering. None of it was true. She was the one who grew cold. She was the one who blocked him, who cropped him out, who answered vulnerability with silence, but now she was the survivor, the phoenix rising. And him? He was the villain she wrote into her new brand. But what shattered him wasn't the lies, it was the fact that people believed them. That all it took was a ring light, a trembling voice, and one emotionally manipulative piano track to erase 3 years of truth. Until someone gave him a call. It was Nancy. You need to see this, she said. She's holding a press event tonight. They're inviting influencers, brands, and press. She's launching a new women's program called Stronger Alone. Guess who the story centerpiece is? He didn't respond. I know you're done, Michael, she continued, but she's dragging your name through the mud in rooms you've never even stepped into. If you want this to stop, you need to show up. So here he was, in a gray blazer and clean black shirt, clutching the evidence. The elevator stopped. Floor 17. The glass doors opened to a polished rooftop lounge, filled with white lighting, champagne tables, and an LED banner that read, Kayla Reed, Stronger Alone. Launch night. Michael's eyes scanned the room. She was there, center stage, radiant in a cream-wrapped dress, microphone in hand, flawless makeup, dimples on cue. And I want to thank everyone for standing beside me as I chose myself, she was saying. Leaving someone doesn't mean you failed, it means you listened to your heart. The room applauded, some stood, others took selfies with her banner. Michael walked in unnoticed at first, until someone whispered, then someone turned, and then Kayla saw him. For a split second, her smile faltered, but she recovered instantly. Michael, she said into the mic, as if greeting an old friend. Well, I didn't expect to see you here. Murmurs rippled. He stepped forward, calm, controlled. He pulled the mic from the nearest table, turned it on, and faced the crowd. I didn't expect to be here either, Michael said. But after watching the stories, reading the headlines, and listening to all of you cheer for a version of events that never happened, I figured, if I'm going to be cast in a story, I might as well speak. The room fell into an uncomfortable hush. Kayla tilted her head. This isn't the time. No, Michael interrupted. You made it the time when you turned our marriage into a marketing campaign. Gasps. He reached into his blazer and held up a printed copy of her conversations with her publicist, the ones Joseph had given him. While you were preparing this speech, you were also preparing this narrative, he said, voice steady. You planned the PR spin, you drafted captions, you told your team to lean into mental health themes because it sells better. You labeled me as emotionally unstable, controlling, jealous. He paused. But here's what actually happened. Then he told them everything. The blocked messages, the deleted photos, the missed anniversary dinner, the texts from Joseph, the arguments, the silence, the night she placed her image above his existence, the day she left without hearing the words he tried to send. "She didn't cry because I hurt her," he said. "She cried because I left before she could, and it ruined her script." Kayla stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "You're twisting this, you're bitter." "No," he said. "I was silent. You were the one twisting it." He walked toward the projector on the media table, slid in his USB. On the screen behind them, screenshots appeared. Text messages, drafted PR posts, even voice memos where Kayla rehearsed the words she'd fake cry in her video. Someone in the audience gasped, then another. The murmurs turned into whispers. A few influencers pulled out phones, some lowered them, uncomfortable. Michael turned to the crowd. "She blocked me during a fight. That wasn't strength, that was cowardice. She didn't build herself up, she broke me down and called it empowerment." Kayla's face went pale. She stepped forward. "You're doing this to humiliate me?" "No," Michael said, voice quiet now. "I'm doing this so you stop pretending I don't exist." He pulled out the last page, a letter, one he'd written the night she blocked him. "I was going to give this to you privately, but since we've made this a public affair," he read. "I never stopped loving you, not even after the blocking, the silence, the cold dinners, the days you treated me like background noise. I didn't leave because I stopped caring, I left because I realized you'd already stopped." He folded the paper, looked her dead in the eyes. "I would have forgiven everything, if you'd just asked me to stay." The room was still. Kayla's mouth trembled, but no words came. Michael placed the letter down and walked off stage. He didn't look back. As he exited the building, Nancy was waiting near the elevators. "You did it," she said quietly. "No," Michael replied. "I just told the truth." The next morning, the internet was split. Some called him brave, others said he ruined a woman's moment. But the truth was out. The screenshots went viral, the fake captions, the PR plans, even the voice notes. Kayla's sponsors started pulling out, her video was taken down. She issued a statement. "I may have exaggerated certain events, I was hurting, I see that now." It didn't help. Michael didn't smile, he didn't celebrate. He just sat by the window, watching the sun rise without a weight on his chest. Sometimes, the climax of a story isn't the explosion, it's the quiet that follows, the peace that returns when the noise finally stops. The fallout came faster than even Michael anticipated. Within 48 hours of the rooftop confrontation, Kayla's brand collapsed like a building with hollow foundations. Sponsors began issuing statements. Influencers who once called her queen quietly deleted collabs. Her agency dropped her within 3 days. Michael didn't post anything after that night. He didn't gloat. He didn't upload screenshots. He simply vanished from the digital world and returned to something she never understood, real life. But the public didn't let it go. They started calling the scandal the gym bag divorce. Threads trended for days dissecting her staged video against his quiet dignity. Memes surfaced, reels mocked her fake tears, audio mashups layered her dramatic monologue with laugh tracks, and then came the final nail in her carefully curated coffin. Joseph went live. He confirmed everything, the manipulation, the staged stories, the fake breakdown, the plan to make Michael a headline, not a husband. "I was part of it. I thought I'd benefit from the PR too. But when she tried to erase me next, I realized no one was safe in her narrative." Michael never raised his voice, never threw blame, he just left, that's all. The comments under the stream were merciless. She ruined herself trying to ruin him. All he did was walk away with a signature. Michael didn't watch the chaos unfold, Nancy did. "Are you sure you don't want to see this?" she asked, sliding her phone toward him. He pushed it back gently. "I've already seen enough." By now, he had moved again, this time to a quiet place by the lake just outside the city. No neighbors, no noise. He spent his mornings journaling, his afternoons walking through the pines, and his nights cooking meals he never had time for. Nancy visited sometimes, always bringing her gentle presence, always respecting the silence. "You never retaliated," she said once, "you just told the truth and left." "I think that was revenge enough," he replied, "but it wasn't the end, not yet." Because one day, Kayla showed up. She didn't knock. She stood on the porch in a gray hoodie and sunglasses, holding the gym bag, the same one that once carried his divorce papers. Her hands trembled. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. He opened the door and didn't speak, just stared. She stepped inside slowly, looking around at the quiet, the peace, the lack of cameras. "I'm not here to ask for anything," she said. I wanted to say sorry, not the kind of sorry that comes with PR statements or captions, the real kind." Michael leaned against the counter, arms folded, silent. Kayla swallowed. "I ruined everything. I made you the villain because I couldn't face the fact that I was the one who let us die. You tried so many times, you stayed through so much, and when you finally left, I used it to sell my pain like merchandise." Still, Michael said nothing. Tears slid down her cheek, not staged, not filtered. "I lost everything," she whispered. "But worst of all, I lost the only person who ever loved me for who I was before the cameras." Finally, Michael spoke. "You didn't lose me when I walked away, Kayla. You lost me the moment you chose your brand over your husband." She nodded slowly. "I know." He gestured toward the bag. "Why'd you bring that?" She looked down, unzipped it, pulled out the original divorce documents, signed, dated, untouched since the day she found them. "I never filed them," she admitted. "I thought I could fix it, or maybe manipulate it into something else, but now—" She slid the papers toward him. "I want you to file them." Michael picked them up and looked at the ink. Her signature was real this time. No highlighters, no drama. He nodded. "I'll take care of it." She turned to leave, but paused at the door. "You were the best part of my life," she whispered. He didn't respond. Not because he didn't feel something, but because some truths don't need repeating, they just need to end. And when the door closed behind her, it felt like final punctuation, the end of a story he never asked to star in. 2 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. Michael didn't announce it. No Instagram posts, no hashtags, no reels. Just a walk along the lakeside, the breeze on his skin, and the soft, grounding sound of pine needles beneath his feet. Nancy joined him that evening. "It's over?" she asked. He nodded. "Legally, emotionally, and spiritually." She smiled gently. "So, what now?" He looked at the horizon. Thought about everything: Kayla's rise, her betrayal, the gym bag, the lies, the breakdown, and the moment she realized she couldn't shape truth like abs in a mirror. And then he smiled. "I start over." Nancy nudged him playfully. "New chapter?" He nodded. "But this time, I'm not writing it for anyone but me." She took his hand, and for the first time in years, Michael didn't feel blocked. He felt free. Powerful ending. Note: Michael never needed to destroy Kayla. She did that herself, trying to turn pain into profit. His revenge wasn't rage, it was clear. His closure wasn't applause, it was peaceful. He walked away, and that was the move she never saw coming.